Call the meeting in order. Start with a pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
President Warner.
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Horowitz.
Here.
Trustee Pell.
Present.
Trustee Stafford.
Here.
Trustee Welker. Here. Sir, we have a quorum present today.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to have a waiver of the reading of the communications, being that we all got copies.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. At this point in the meeting, I see there's quite a few people, residents from the watermill here. Would you like to, anybody would like to come address the board at this time? Because I understand that there's some concerns about a project that we're taking on at the Rose Hill Road launching ramp. So if you could come forward and state your name for the record and sign in at the sheet.
Yeah, you can sit right here.
You could sit there if you want.
Or you want to say?
You could sit there if you
can
want.
sit-
Well, where's the television?
Both.
It's all over.
It's
It's
all-
where it's the whole
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
There's no escaping the television.
Good.
You putting a speaking limit on it?
Yes.
Let him know.
There'll be a 3-minute speaking limit for each individual that
One shot.
comes before the board. We'll no-
Joey, my 3 minutes?
Thank you.
Sarah, what's your take on it?
Also, you can hand that in too.
Ed, are we going to do a speaking?
You can hand that
Yes.
in when you get done.
No, 3 minutes per
3
speaker.
minutes per speaker, that's
3
it.
minutes per
3 minutes per speaker, yes. Can you just wait 1 second?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wait, Lisa's got
I
to get out
I
her
have to get the timer. And I'm going to give a 30-second warning also. Okay, whenever you're ready.
My name is Joanna Halsey. I live in Watermill. Okay, I don't even know where to start with this, but to be clear, what happened on Rose Hill Road was never, ever the intent of my beloved grandfather, who gave the land to the town so that all could enjoy it. I can't even begin to tell you how disappointed my family is. Mr. Warner, were you a member of the board in 2006?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to just distribute these, or maybe you could take one and pass it down.
Thank you.
So back in 2006, the former owner, by the last name of Zarrow, desperately wanted the property. So we, as a family, wrote a letter. My father signed it, and I hand-delivered it to the trustees, the town board, and the Southampton Press. At that time, a trustee told me that this would never, ever happen. I was wondering, Mr. Warner, if you'd like to read a little of this, maybe where it starts with, "It's hard for me to believe," out loud so that everyone could hear what, you don't have to read the whole thing, but just it's,
Yes.
okay, thanks.
Wait, what are we doing?
Yeah, she can read it just to the...
You want to read it, or you want me to?
I'd like you to read it,
Okay.
since you were on the board.
Portion.
Right, I mean, there's not back and forth. If she would like to read it to the board, she can do
What
so.
portion?
No, I'll read it.
Thank you.
It's hard for me to believe that you, our trusted stewards, would even consider his proposal. More often than not, I hardly recognize this place I call home. Mr. Zarrow acquired his investment fully aware of the property lines. Instead of wanting more, Mr. Zarrow should have been pleased with the secondary cottage on his property, was pre-existing, non-conforming, and was not subject to DEC scrutiny. I say to Mr. Zarrow, carry the emperor forever. We all know that only Mr. Zarrow will benefit and capitalize on this added value, while the people of our town will be at a loss.
Can we turn the volume up a bit, please? We can't hear.
No, I could read it.
Most of it, but it's...
Sorry.
I could move the
You have to get the microphone close to you.
30 seconds.
Like that?
Ed,
You have 30 seconds.
For what?
You have a
3-minute
3-minute
speaking limit.
speaking limit.
I haven't even begun.
Just do it.
It's hard for me to believe that you, our trusted stewards, would even consider his proposal. More often than not, I hardly recognize this place I call home. Mr. Zarrow acquired his investment fully aware of the property lines. Instead of wanting more, Mr. Zarrow should be pleased that the secondary cottage on his property was pre-existing, non-conforming, and was not subjected to DEC scrutiny. I say to Mr. Zarrow, caveat emptor. Furthermore, we all know that only Mr. Zarrow would benefit and capitalize on this added value, while the people of our town will be at a loss. In closing, if for whatever reason the town no longer wants our family gift, we will be happy to take it back. So first have to ask, a few things pop up.
Excuse me, you acquired your 3 minutes of speaking time. So I will, excuse me.
3 minutes per speaker.
Excuse me, it's 3 minutes per speaker.
I haven't even started.
Everybody was advised of the rules before you spoke.
The rules are broken all the time here, aren't they?
Well, can I ask you, are you representing everybody in the
I'm
audience?
representing a lot of family members, siblings, nieces, nephews, brother.
She's representing all of us.
That's the question that I had posed, yes.
We're all here
Yes.
for the family and
Okay.
for this piece of property.
That's what I had asked.
That's why we're here.
Okay, you can continue.
Okay, thank
You all
you.
right with that, board?
Yes.
I'm not even sure where I left off. Did I say the caveat emptor? Do you know what that means? It means buyer beware. Okay? And the closing sentence, we'd be happy to take it back. So we need clarity on a few things. Our understanding is that the town board recently handed this over to you. Is that true?
Yes, in exchange for another piece
Okay,
of
now
property
that's-
that we had
Okay.
exchanged back in
I got
2006.
okay. Did the town board approve this before you had it before you were handed it? Did the town board already approve this?
Approve this agreement with
Yeah.
the current property owner?
Yes.
No, we had conversations with the supervisor, and he led us in a direction that we eventually went in.
Okay. Okay.
And just to let you
paper
know,
states that-
there was an agreement that was prior to us accepting the property from the
Okay.
town.
The paper, the Southampton Press, states that you were short of funds, so you brokered a deal with the homeowner. Is that true?
Listen.
Yes or no?
You know, this isn't a back and forth. You can make your comments to the board.
Okay,
right?
will do.
It's not a back and forth. here.
Okay, I just wanted to have some clarity
Okay, but
as
it
I
just,
continue.
so that it's clear to everybody, this isn't a back and forth between the board and the speaker. The speaker can talk to the board.
Okay.
If the board chooses to answer, they
Okay,
can, but you're,
I
this
understand.
is not an interrogation.
It's not an interrogation, I'm just trying to get some clarity.
just
as
wanna
to
make
how-
sure that
if I
it's
have my
clear.
information correct.
I'll answer
So
that.
yet, no one contacted my family, the Watermill CAC, the Watermill Community Club, nor the Watermill Village Improvement Association. To my knowledge, nothing was even in the paper. That was, in my opinion, a covert maneuver all the way. My sister and I have always taken walks down there, looping around and getting our steps in. We never saw anything posted. That being said, just today, just this morning, a Rose Hill Road neighbor said that there were signs posted, but they were on the wrong property. In conclusion, I just wanted to say a few things from the Dongan patent. Number one, uphold the traditions of a maritime community. Number two, inform the public of the facts of coastal-related issues. And number three, represent the best interest of the freeholders. I'm asking you as individuals and as a board to do some soul searching. Do you believe your secret deals reflect what the public elected and trusted you to do? Thank you.
Very good.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board?
My name's Chip Marin. This is obviously in reference to the Rose Hill Road piece of property. I've basically utilized this ramp probably since I started being a bayman at the age of 18 years old. This is a really tough one for me because I wholeheartedly believe in what the trustees stand for, and it's kind of like the last true laws of the town that we all grew up with and what we love about this town. And it was actually one of the last spots on Mecox Bay where you can drive down and see Mecox Cut on one side and see Rose Hill on the other. It was a full water view. When the bay is down, which is there's periods of time for certain fishermen do utilize this creek for perching and for crabbing, and there is absolutely no way to make it in the creek when the bay is all the way out. So the ramp is going to be utilized, is still going to have access, but it was nice not to have to back up. Since in the last 10 years, and not all to the trustees' fault, we've lost right-of-ways to the bay. Mohawk, you can no longer turn a boat and trailer around when there's one guy backed in. At the end of Horse Mill, you no longer can turn a boat and trailer around. And on the Flying Point ramp, it's virtually impossible if the bay is out to launch there. I mean, I'm able to, but anybody with any kind of V on the bottom of their boat can't. So we're all kind of getting condensed down to spots. I mean, I realize that you're able to pull in and back up, but if there's a few boats in there or paddle boarders or kayakers, it just makes more of a headache. And it was downright pretty when you were able to just go down there and turn around the whole circle around. In trade for landscaping of this piece of property, the trustees should have never taken over the property if they were worried about the expense of maintaining this piece of property. It should have been left with the town, or somebody from the watermill, or a few of the different watermill community members probably would have chipped in and had it taken care of, because it is
30 seconds.
It is a piece of parkland, that has been altered due to the fact that the trustees using it for monetary gains. I think possibly you could probably be getting a little bit more rent out of it, considering it's probably assessed at around $6 million for that piece of property. So if you took a simple 5%, that's around $200,000 a year. So instead of just moving some sand and mowing the lawn, I think you guys could do a little bit better. So thank you.
Is there anybody else? Yes, Tim.
I'm Tim Marin, 67 years a resident of Watermill, currently a resident of Southampton Village. I will be a permanent resident in Watermill at some time in the future on Proprietors Lane, next to my father, my mother, my brother, right next to Ray Halsey, the father of the Halsey family. My father, my mother, my brother, and Ray must be having tremendous discussions about this because they're neighbors in the cemetery. I can't possibly imagine how this town, the town board and this board, have enhanced and enriched a private property owner at the expense of the freeholders of this community. When I learned about this in Pennsylvania about 2 weeks ago, when I returned on a Thursday afternoon, the first thing I did when I came back into town was to drive down and see what has happened. It's an atrocity. It's outrageous, to quote Ray Halsey in his letter back in 2006. I, at my own expense, have secured the services of an attorney. And at this point, we have more questions than we have answers from the information that we have been able to obtain via the FOILs and other methods that we've utilized in talking to local people. My intent, my personal intent, is to go forward with this and try and get an explanation that makes sense to me and that makes sense to the community. I looked up as a definition a trustee
30 seconds.
is an individual, person, or member of a board given control of powers to administer property in trust with a legal obligation to administer it solely for the purposes specified. A trustee is legally and morally bound to manage the trust property in a responsible and productive manner and is under an absolute obligation to act solely for the benefit of the trust's beneficiaries. I wish you would all think about your responsibility to the freeholders of this community. Thank you.
Board of Trustees. My name is Dwayne Ornister. I am a resident of Watermill, Blank Lane, 208 Blank Lane. I'm 57 years old, and I've been a lifelong user of the property. At 4 years old, in 1965, I pulled down there when there was no ramp, maybe some local farmers' digger chains to drop a boat in, and I learned how to water ski in Mecox. Cut my feet on many oysters. Since then, me personally, I have used that ramp not only for water skiing, but also for waterfowling. My duck blind is right there. Ever since the late 80s, when the hurricane busted through and the old owner was not allowed to do anything to retain his property, he lost it. It used to go a long ways out. My father, before me, hunted that same property, did many investigations on that property. It was originally owned by the Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. Okay? I had Ducks Unlimited do a painting of the waiting place, which it was called. There was a stagecoach crossing there. Now, half of it is nothing. It's not ours. The decision, I don't know how, got by the residents, and I feel that there was something going on a long time on this piece of property. I do not know. But it is my intention to back up the Halsey family of which I worked for when I was 10 years old. I would like to tell you that I will support them, Mr. Marin's effort, and I will support the community's effort until this issue is resolved. And in the interim, if the Board of Trustees is in the leasing business, may I make a proposal that I lease Big Fresh Pond?
30 seconds.
Because I would love to waterfowl there. And I will take care of the ramp. I'll make a deal with you. I'm interested. Let's talk. Thank you.
My name's Richard Burkowski. Again, lifelong resident of Watermill, presently residing in the village of Southampton. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to address the board because I'm sure there's a lot better representation in the audience than myself. And as you could have heard, it's a very emotional situation for everyone that's here and a huge number of people that aren't here. Again, I will back the Halsey family, Mr. Marin, and everyone else. As everyone else that has been here speaking, my grandfather made his living from Mecox Bay. We could go tell you stories about Mecox Bay. I'm sure some of you, Mr. Warner, I'm sure know Mecox Bay very well. There's been some words thrown around, atrocities. It is an atrocity. I don't know how the board can sit here with a moral conscience and knowing they did this to the residents of the town and the residents of Watermill. Thank you. Morally, with a clear conscience, knowing that the only beneficiary of what was done is the landowner himself, a resident, one person who is far from a native, a lifelong resident, however you want to call it. We're losing our properties daily here. We're losing our rights to our resources daily. I feel the emotion building in me now, and I didn't really want to get on this podium because I want to represent who's here in a very respectful manner. But I want to take Mr. Marin's actions a little further, and that my belief that anyone that has emotion connected to this piece of property and what you as trustees did to this property, the only resolution is to get it back the way it was, to remove what has been done, because there are clauses that were written in the Southampton press that the trustees can back out of this at any time they feel fit. I think you should feel fit to stand up and say, we made a mistake. We really messed this one up for whose ever interest may have been at hand. There's only one person benefiting from this. So again, to back Mr. Marin and everyone else, the only resolution is to put it back the way it was, give it to the residents and the shareholders of the town, and that is the resolution. I do want to know when it is resolved and it does go back, where we're going to get a 100 or 200-year-old willow tree to replace the one that was so graciously standing in the middle of this turnaround that's no longer there. Thank you.
May I speak? You can speak if you want to.
I'd like to say something for a few minutes. About 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I first had a complaint about this, and I I went down and looked at it, and I came back to the trustee's office a couple days later, and I asked for the agreement, and I also asked for the survey. I got the agreement right away. A few days later, emailed to me. I finally got the plan today. When we first discussed this, I only thought that the boundary lines were going to be moved over, so for like a row of trees, and we would not lose that much, okay? I think I made a mistake, okay, by when I voted, okay? I should have looked more into it, okay? I took the word from what I heard at the time. I did ask, how do we get out of this? And the town attorney told me 90 days, okay? I actually do feel that we should, myself, out of 1 out of 5, we should plan to get out of it. I went down there over the weekend again. I can't see how you're going to tell a Bayman or someone else who uses a trail they're going to park on a line. I've been to many ramps. You might find 5 people park nice and neat. You get one guy parks crooked. You won't be able to turn around. You're going to back down. It's too skinny to back down there. If 2 cars pull down there, unless it's a Mini Cooper, one has to back up. Okay? I think it's a bad deal. I think that we should look forward to how to resolve it. There's trouble with the highway department with his driveway. This is why we had to wait for the meeting. I had to make copies for the other members here to see it. I actually think I agree with you guys. I think it's a bad mistake, and I'm man enough to say I made a mistake.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you.
I do have to caution the trustees about anything that you're going to say. I mean, we have heard that there is a lawyer that has been retained on, excuse me, that we have been advised that there is an attorney retained, so I will just caution you as to whatever you're going to say in public.
Thank you, Mr. Pell.
All right. My name's Evan Gay, all right? I grew up in Watermill. I, too, am behind the Halseys 100%. I've been putting boats in the water there for all my life. I'm speaking for my older brother that's not here. He's away on vacation right now. I sent him photographs. He's furious. He can't believe what went on down there. I can't either. It blows my mind that it's the magnitude of putting some shrubs along a property line turned into basically us winding up with a tiny little flag lot and this guy getting whatever $1 million worth of property given to him for nothing. I could have mowed that grass with a pair of scissors and shoveled the snow with a teaspoon and made money, okay, at the rate that you guys got paid. Okay, I think we could have done a little better. I agree with Chip Marin on that. We could have done a little better of a deal. It is emotional for me, and I'm trying not to use the F-bomb like the village meetings. I'm really trying to be cool here. But I'm behind the Halseys, and I think that Mr. Pell here is on the right track. And you know what? People do make errors. And you know what? If he's man enough to make one and admit it, that's great. We need the rest of you to man up and admit it. Mistakes happen. This guy went full bore, and he's doing it as fast as he can for completion. Okay, I've been down there every day after work watching what's going on. I am a contractor. I know how long things take. I'm a mason contractor and a landscaper. I know how long it takes, and believe me, he is rushing to get finished. So the damages are done. You got to reverse this somehow. It's going to be a mess. It's not going to be cool for everybody, I guess. But you know what? That's this guy's problem and your problem. You got to fix it. You got to fix it. That's where I stand on all of it. And thank you, Mr. Pell, for speaking up for that, because you know what? That's the truth. My brother talked to you on the phone. He said, oh, it's no big deal. The guy's just putting some big trees along his property line. The way I understood it was explained to me, his property line was in front of his property, right on the edge there. Okay, he wanted to hide the parking lot. I get it. He wanted to put some big trees along the property line. Well, He sure did. He inherited a half an acre of property from us for nothing and changed the whole thing around. 3/4 of an acre, basically. And before I get any worse, I'm just gonna go sit down and let somebody else speak.
I'm Rich Jaminski. I've lived here all my life. I live down in the village. I went down there, after I read in the press and all that stuff, and it was quoted that they had a hard time plowing and mowing down there. The town highways plow that all the time. We've been ice boating there for years. That's always plowed by the town. The mowing is always done by the town when they come down that area. As far as the ramps are terrible here. I've never seen ramps that bad. There's a few good ramps in the town of Southampton, but they sure aren't out here, and they aren't on Mecox. Let me look at my notes. Mohawk. Can you guys go down there and clear some of that up so you can get a couple people in there? Like you said, you can get one boat in there. Once that boat's in there and the truck and trailer parked, you have to back all the way down the road. As far as, the board on this fiasco they did, I don't know how in good conscience you guys could have voted for that. Thank you.
Steve Storch. I live down there on Watermill, on Halsey Lane, around the corner from this place. And I'm from Coney Island. I'm not from here. But I came out here in the mid-'70s and went to Southampton College and learned all about the environment here and loved it and stayed. And over the years I got to see a lot of stuff like this happen. When Marty Lang stole the money for the liner and the dump. And then I see he's got an office in European American Bank where I was banking then. I'm like, got to get out of here. And then remember Vince Canuccio being in here and Marietta Seaman. And man, he got out of here and pointed out cell phone tower locations all over town and profited on the back of Southampton. Big time. And, it's bad enough these people have kind of polluted us out of our rights there on the bay. There's really not much we could do about that, but this kind of stuff just can't be tolerated. And, I don't know, people said I shouldn't bring it up. I don't want to confuse the issue, but this house this street here, there's 5 acres here with the guy with the house that's 2/3 the size of this place on 4 times the property. And to me, this is a cover-up for that mistake. Okay? And somehow there's just something very untrustworthy about this. And I think it's way deeper than just him taking this. I don't understand how this happened. It went from that little cottage that was there with an accessory building to this thing. It looks like the Queen Mary ran aground.
Listen, just to, it's okay, you can sit down. I just want to address, excuse me a second, excuse me. Excuse me a second.
Put that on there too.
Sir. Excuse me. I just, the intention here, I'm very interested in what everybody has to say, okay? because the intention here, to my understanding from this board, was to try and do something good. You can sit down. It's okay. It's not corruption. It's not anybody trying to do anything that was underhanded or wrong. It was an intention to try and do something that was good, okay? So it's going where some folks in the public are concerned about the issue, and I get that. I hear that, okay? So at this point in time, it's about trying to figure out what it is that we can do so that everybody's happy, okay? Listen,
I can stand back up
no,
there.
excuse me, I don't want to have a debate, sir. Steve, please, sit down, please. 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 I would just, well, you can speak
Steve,
when I finish.
This is
speaking.
counterproductive because you cannot be heard standing from the audience.
I don't want
If
to,
you
I'm not interested in having a debate, I just
Come to the
want
podium and address the board.
just trying to get some points across, okay, from the perspective, from my perspective as a member of the board. People are trying to get a good boat access ramp and trying to find some ways that you could provide some good things to the people of the town and protect the resources and protect the assets of the trust. That's what I endeavor to do every day as a trustee. Something is clearly upsetting the public here, and I'm very in tune with that. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to methodically make this all right. I think that's going to take some doing, and that's what I would rather spend my time doing here. But to sit and listen to, people wanting to do things underhanded or corrupt or something, it's not the intention. The intention was to do something that was going to benefit the community, not harm the community or hurt the community. And I think that, from my perspective, is listening to this and hearing it is very helpful, and then we need to take a look and figure out what it is we can do so that at the end of the day.
All due respect, Scott, the more you talk, the more suspicious we get. Because it doesn't make sense.
I'll just go back up. I just want to stay
I'm sorry,
Steve,
sir.
Steve.
You're climbing over the
Sir.
chairs.
Steve,
I don't think that's.
you can make one,
It's okay, I just want to reiterate that.
I don't think you people understand the magnitude of the situation.
I just, I meant to say, I just want to reiterate that, the notices that were posted on the wrong property, that is a major violation of the whole process. So, I remember going by and going, oh, what's Mr. Peterson doing? He wants to put up an ag fence, he wants to put up a little shed to garden. Didn't really pay attention to it, but it was this property's meeting notices, which is why nobody was here while you were doing it. Yeah, you cease meeting.
Out of control. I'm done. Absolutely. I don't think you should sit here and listen to me accuse you of corruption. Is that right or wrong? No. I think that I'm not going to.
Okay, I guess I'll have to condense my notes here, which are quite extensive, seeing that I only have a few minutes, which I regret to say I don't think that's right, in view of the fact that this is quite an important issue.
Can you just state
But
your
anyway.
name for the record, sir?
Sure.
State your name for the
Oh,
record.
I'm sorry. Ray Jaminski, born and raised here in Southampton. I live here in the village.
Thank you.
First note here is, what the hell is going on? You gave a parcel away that was given by the Halseys, entrusted to the town and to you people as well. Our next note here is, I smell a skunk. There is something that is going on that we people here are not cognizant to, and it's not right, and that's why I wanted to bring that up. Years ago, Bob Lear and I were down crabbing, or we're down there riding around, as we often do, for a cup of coffee. But I think that day we're pulling our few pots that we enjoy doing as older retired people. And we noticed that in that cove, there was a lot of building material, slates and things of that nature.
or construction shack. And then when we made the turn, there was a deposit of concrete there that was left there by the transit mixer. Oh, I called the town, and it was taken care of rather quickly, to say the least. I do appreciate that. Along that, a couple of minutes later, who comes driving up in a car is Mr. and Mrs. Halsey. I didn't realize who they were because I hadn't seen Ray in a long time. And his comment was, "What the hell is going on here? Our family donated this to the town to be used by the people. And what's going on?" He says, "I'm going to the town and speak about this." A couple days later, everything was gone. I mean, cleaned up. Then I go down there and I look at it presently. I see no permits. There are rings that were put in there, regraded. Under what permits? Next note is, what happened to the trustees that I thought spoke on behalf of the residents of this township? And I guess the next note would be, come on, guys, get it back for us. Give it back to the Halsey family. Donate it to the Watermill community, where I'm sure they will take care of that, like they do the windmill and the watermill and the ball fields and all that. It's something. It was something that really belongs in their cognizance. Anyway, I'm going to end this by saying that I am really pissed off that this happened. Really pissed off. I hate to use that word, but I think it's very, very true of what happened here. And you guys got to get your together and get this back to the way it should be. And I expect it to be put back to its original condition. Or otherwise, hey guys, take a hike. We'll get another trustees board here. We'll get somebody that represents us a lot better than you people have at this point, as much as I know about it. Thank you.
Clock running?
Gonna start you now.
Thank you, Lisa. Fred Havemeyer, Bridgehampton, New York. All of you know me. I was on this board for almost 12 years. I just have to ask, where is the trust and trustee? Bill, you've come forward. You're absolutely on the right track. This is a disgrace. This is the most inappropriate, stupidest thing that anybody could imagine what board would let happen to this town, to the Halsey family, to the people that are here, to the people outside that are freeholders and taxpayers. You've given away a major portion of a property to a next door neighbor for pittance, absolute pittance. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Where is your responsibility? You're new on the board. You don't even look like you're here. And you desired to get on the board to do the right thing. Well, you've done the wrong thing. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. Eddie, you know better. I know you as a friend. I know your father is a friend, and I respect you deeply. But doing something like this is an outrage. Scott, I don't even have a comment about you. But the bottom line is, this has got to be corrected right away. Now, as a trustee, I was very familiar with Mr. Zorro, with this property, because when Mr. Zorro, who coveted the property, as this other gentleman does and now owns it, took it over as a construction depot for his building, I was the one, because it was my area, that was in charge of doing something about it, because at that time, the trustees thought that they owned the property as a gift from the Halsey family. As it turned out, it was owned by the town. The gift was through the town. So I was stymied to a degree. But I was able, in working with the town board, to get all Mr. Zarro's construction crap away from there. He agreed to resurface the lawn, and he also agreed to redo the road, which he
Excuse me,
had
Fred.
sorely damaged.
Fred, just address the board. Okay, your comments are to the board.
I can address anybody I like.
Right.
There are no rules. Look, I've been to more town board and trustee meetings than you ever have. Don't even go there. I'm angry. Don't get me mad. Really, I'm mad enough as it is. This is shameful. This board action is the most shameful thing that I have ever seen. I had this lot cleared back to where it should be as a representative of the trustees. Now, in the most one-sided deal that anybody can imagine, I mean, it's not even a deal. It's a giveaway. You've obliterated a major portion of what has turned out to be not town but trustees' assets for the freeholders, for the people. I think I'm running out of my 3 minutes. Karaback is about to have a baby, but the bottom line is
Excuse me, Fred.
this has to be
I'm
corrected.
sorry,
Let's keep it respectful, please, Fred.
What?
Let's keep it respectful.
I am.
Please.
I
That
am,
wasn't-
but it's
that
very
wasn't
hard.
respectful, Fred.
I don't think so.
It's very hard under these circumstances. This is an outrageous situation, and this board of trustees should be totally ashamed of themselves for doing what they've done. And that's all I can say.
I just have one comment, it's going to be very short.
Okay.
You can,
Please come up to the podium.
you can see the emotion in everybody here. Tim Aaron, the Halsey family and all that, it's become a very, very emotional state. And even with Freddie here, perhaps he didn't want to say what he wanted to say, but he became emotional. So you can see how you've hurt the community here with your selecting to give that property away. That's all I really have to say. I would also like to say, can you people make a comment or address to us, like Mr. Pell did? Rather just leave this and we don't know what your thoughts are.
My name's Evan Gang, again. You know, I think that, I mean, I'm no lawyer, but boy, I know a bit about it, and I can tell you that this is going to cause a huge problem for the town, for the taxpayers, for everybody. Because this man that thinks he owns this now is going to lose his mind with lawyers and unleash holy God if we tell him to take it all away. He spent a lot of money. I've been watching what's going on down there, and he's got everybody down there. They're doing them, dropping cobblestone down on the rain the other day, which is a no-no. I'm a mason. I know what's what. They're in a hurry to get done. The reason being that then he can write the check and say this was part of his expense towards this project. And believe me, he's going to add them all up, and he's going to come in here when you unfold this on him, and it's just going to be a mess.
I think he knew that
And
within 90 days when he's
You
writing
know,
the...
I would be prepared because he's going to go off. I still stand behind the Halseys 100%. I don't give a damn about this guy. I could care less, you know. I wish we'd get a Hurricane 5 and wipe them all off the map. You know what I mean? We need a good, like, 38 hurricane times 2 and clean up a lot of this bullshit around here.
Really? This is Sanity Bill? Really?
I really appreciate everybody coming out and talking, but it's so not about my family. I just
Let her talk.
thank you, Tim, Fred, all of you for speaking. This is a community situation. And I really hope you do the right thing. We need it back the way it was.
Come on up, Tim.
Tim Marin again.
I want to hear what they have to say.
Now that I've cooled off a little bit. As many of you may not know, because you don't live in Watermill, and probably have had very little association with Watermill, we pride ourselves on taking care of what we have. The Village Green, the Watermill Community House, the old cemetery, the Watermill, and the community green off of Noadona Avenue. That is all supported by taxes raised and levied against the people of Watermill via the Watermill Park District. And the town collects those funds strictly from the residents of Watermill to maintain those properties. I am sure, knowing the hamlet of Watermill, that we, if necessary, can find a way to maintain that property if and when it is returned to what it was before. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to address the board?
I would.
My name is Kimberly Corwith. My father, Peter Corwith, supported protecting our waters as town trustee. My grandfather as well. We are so lucky to have access to the freshwater lakes and ponds, and they fought their whole lives to protect that. My grandfather and my dad had their duck blind right there, and I stand with the Halseys that it needs to be protected. And I believe, thank you, Mr. Pell, for standing up for that. I believe that we have something worth saving, and that's the board's job. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mason Parks. I have not had the fortune of being born in Watermill, but I have had the experience of meeting several of these people, having dealings with them. My girlfriend is Kimberly Corwith. Her dad and her grandfather were trustees. And if it's one thing I can say, it's I understand the frustrations of the people, because one thing I've learned about Watermill is that they're a very close-knit community. It goes back generations, much further than this guy's been here. And if you see like what this is doing to the people of Watermill, just to have a vote and it be passed off and handed off for nothing, it just doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem what any one of their forefathers would have done, doesn't seem what anyone who cares about Watermill would have done. So to just give this away seems kind of shady, even underhanded, but I would just, as someone from the outside coming in, I would just like to see this returned, the right thing done, and these people be respected for what they came from. That's it.
Very good.
So, another
You've had your chance to address the board. I think, I personally understand where you guys are coming from. I believe one of our board members would like to address the residents now.
It's hard to be on this side of the table.
Could you move the microphone closer to your hand?
It's hard to be on this side of the table. I've been in other situations where you guys are, and I know how hard it is to be there too. I know how hard it is to stand up here and look at the faces that you know from the gas station or the grocery store. So I applaud each of you who just took time out of your day to speak today about something that means so much to you. I think some of you know that that spot means as much to me as it does to you. I don't know how many times, even though I didn't grow up in Watermill, I grew up in Shinnecock. I would ride my bike there. I've been paddleboarding there. I use that ramp. I know a lot more now than I did 2 weeks ago when I got the first phone call about this. When I drove down there, I didn't know what to think, because it's another piece of this special place that's been chipped away at.
Thank you.
I don't know what the answer is for us going forward, because that's part of what's going on here. It can't be an us against them in situations like this. That's part of why I'm sitting here now. Because it can't be, it's we. There was a work session on this. It was in October. I don't know about the signs on the property. I don't know a lot of the details. I'm finding them out now. I'm learning, I'm new. It's like 100 days that I've been in here. Going forward, I think that's the important thing. What do we do? And again, I thank you for coming up here, many of you, with suggestions. Can it go back to what it was? I don't know. I would hope so, but I don't know. Can some arrangement be made? I thought of a bunch of things over the past week. I don't know what the right answer is, but I know now. What I didn't know on January 17th when I voted for this, I never would have voted for this. But thank you for being here. And I just hope going forward that we can heal and learn and grow from this. Because this can't be. We have to work together in order to keep what we have here.
Comment from the rest of the board, please.
Does anybody else would like to address the board? No.
Can you just explain to us what happened? Like, how did this all happen? Because it's just, maybe we could start
I'm gonna happen without like a meeting.
Well, first off, I'd like to make it very clear. First off, I'd like to make it very clear. Nothing was given away. We still own the property. We have an agreement with a maintenance agreement with the property owner to maintain the property. So if at such time in the future, anytime in the future, we so desire, we can take it back and it will be back into our possession. He has to remove everything that he's put on there, and everything has to be made like it was prior to, the agreement was done and the person has utilized the property. Second thing I'd like to say is,
Let him finish.
one thing that my father taught me is to be a good listener. I've sat here and listened to everybody in this audience talk, and I understand how passionate you all are about this property. I grew up in this town. I've seen more property get lost to rich people and road ends and Horse Mill, Mohawk. What I thought was happening, and I believed that this was going to be a positive thing for the community and a benefit for everybody at large. As it's come through, maybe there should have been a public hearing and more vetting of this. This is all hindsight. I mean, it's better to come out now and to have an understanding. There's 5 board members here, and there's an agreement that any time that if we just so decide that we can pull back on it, we can do that. So as a board, we're listening to everybody's concerns, and then we can make a good decision going forward. I don't want to get in any more adversarial with anybody here or the property owner. We've left it as such that we can do something in the future. Anybody else would like to address the board? Yes, Fred.
Can I go ahead?
Yep.
Hi, Carol. The first, Fred Havemeyer, Bridgehampton. The first thing to do is to admit a mistake in order to correct a mistake. And I think I get the feeling from the board, at least the majority of the board, that a mistake has been made. Eddie, because the wound is bleeding heavily right now, I would suggest that your board get themselves together as expediently as they can and stop the bleeding, put things back the way it was, let the community go back to being a community, to avoid the adversarial and very angry feelings, including my own, and I displayed them here, that this has brought out. But I think I'd like to express one very important thing, is the Board of Trustees really stands for the people of Southampton. You are the stewards of all that we own and cherish in the natural resources. And in that capacity, your actions are vitally important to the future of this town. Ann alluded to it, Bill has alluded to it. Our natural resources are why we're here. We're a maritime community. This is a maritime park. The conflict now is over development. People from other parts are coming here with large amounts of money, throwing their weight around and hoping to get what they want. This is the poster child for that type of thing. As I said, when I was a trustee, it was clearly evident that the next door neighbor coveted the property. Well, that property was sold, and now the new next door neighbor covets the property. That only means that you 5 people have to stand stronger and tougher and firmer in your resolve in protecting what is ours. That's what you are as trustees. You are protecting things for us. You don't own it. You're only trustees. And you are the intermediaries between chaos, which this is, and a well-run town. So I do hope that you will meet quietly, you'll put your thoughts together, and you'll eradicate as quickly as possible this very, very serious mistake. Thank you.
Well said, Freddie. Very good.
We haven't heard from the person's district.
It's my area. This plan has been around probably from October of 2017. Everybody's seen it, everybody looked at it. Unfortunately, I had the maintenance department, we're down to 3.5 guys. Unfortunately, there's not enough manpower to serve the tax people as I think should be done. We've had a porta potty in Hamp Bays in front of Rumba for 3 weeks. No manpower to pull it out. And here's a little spot that I thought that could be taken over by somebody, maintain it, keep the ramp open for everybody. And let us not forget, the town of Southampton had a covenant with this gentleman which moved the property line over. That was already approved. And all we did was expand on that covenant that the town board had. This property's never been on any before, and it was a toss-up who owned it. I know we've cut the grass there. I know I've sent the guys down there to plow snow. We do the ramp as much as we can. I like to do it more, but there's not enough hours in the course of a day. I thought it was supposed to be a pretty good plan. I see the benefit to the public down there every time I'm down there because it's beautiful. There's a dead willow tree in the middle. They looked at it. The arborist came, deemed it dangerous, so they cut it down. Otherwise, it would have been left there. But there's still a turnaround. The clamshells will be applied, whatever's going to be there. The new pavement will be down there. Maybe we should have had more hearings, but we started out with I think a public hearing back in November of 2017. And I'm new, but excuse me.
When was it posted?
It was. They did have posters down there.
I'm telling you, that was off the property. It was not on the property it was supposed to be. You heard me say it.
Where was it posted?
Bruce, there can't be a.
I'm sorry. I can't go back and forth. I could have missed it. I thought there was a sign when I first turned left, right now, beginning of that lot. Huh?
Again, no.
Do I know my job?
Please, no back and forth from the audience.
This is counterproductive. We can't hear anybody in the audience when they talk, so.
Scott, you have anything to say?
I thought I gave you my thoughts on it.
Okay.
Okay? The intention was that, obviously, they thought they were going to do something nice. They wanted to do something, or everybody wanted to do something for the community. That was going to be something that they believed to be something.
Oh, it's beautiful for the guy who owns the property. Looks good.
Again, there can't be comment from the audience.
Can I make a comment, please?
It can't pick you up. The television speaker can't pick you up. The microphone can't pick you up.
If there's a couple of you that would like to have a working group to come and meet with us or myself, I'd more than encourage it to sit down. And if you have a different vision of what you perceive that's there, I will sit with you, or a couple of us will sit with you, and then we'll work on it, okay? Because I don't want to get back and forth. This is just going to go on and be more and more counterproductive. I appreciate everybody coming forward. I understand you're very passionate. I can respect that. But right now, I'd like to continue with the meeting.
So this part of the meeting is finished.
Yes. I mean,
My old leg is gonna.
yes. And I appreciate everybody's comments. So let us digest what you have given us. I mean, it was a lot, okay?
That's fair.
Just one quick, again, it seems like this was in the works.
The microphone can't pick you up.
So if the trustees have the wool pulled over their eyes, admit it, and let's.
That's what I said. Let us work on it, okay? Let us digest what you presented to us. It was an awful lot. There is one new board member, and I've asked everybody to go look at the site so everybody has a good perception of what's down there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Eddie,
Mr. Warner,
I just wanted to ask, what is going to happen now? What is the game plan?
Let me have a conversation with our board. I don't want to, personally, I've gotten a lot of material and a lot of...
No, Eddie, you've been wonderful, really. You've been wonderful.
And if one
What
of
I'm
you...
asking is, will we be alerted along the way?
If there is somebody from this group that would like to meet with me individually or a couple of us and be the conduit to you guys, I would appreciate that.
But you will keep the
I
public
will,
aware.
Fred, I promise you, we
Thank
will
you.
keep you apprised,
You don't
okay?
even have to promise. I know you so well, you are a promise. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, board.
Oh, I'm sure my old man,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to keep mine.
Oh, that's it.
Skinny. Like me? Good, good. How are you doing? Well, it's gonna go with me.
One of the,
Don't correct me.
Motion to waive the
Don't tell me to
communications?
calm down. All right? That's the second time. It won't happen again. We're done. Thanks for telling me.
yes.
Your eyes.
Make a motion to waive the communications reading?
I already
I
did
think we
that.
did that.
We did.
Yeah, we
I
did.
didn't get the vote. I'm sorry, who was the second on the
I
motion?
think
to
Mr.
waive?
Pell was the second, and I think we all voted.
One of
And
the
the
items.
litigation was canceled. Executive session was
Yep.
canceled.
Discussion point for PFAS in Western Shinnecock Bay, funding for water analysis. I understand that there's a plume of PFAS that is coming into the watershed in Western Shinnecock Bay. I'd like to approach the town board for possible funding for water sampling of the bay in that area, making sure that it has not entered the water and any of the shellfish areas or any issues that could be from it.
I concur. That's the area that I'm responsible for, and, I'm concerned about it, so I think we should get some type of baseline testing on the,
Yep.
on the water. We got to be very careful, obviously, but I think that, I think we need to do that.
Well, I mean, it's front and center now. It's
Yes.
just been discovered, so I think we should get
Yes.
ahead of the curve.
Yes, exactly.
So, all right?
That's what we're going to do.
So I'll contact our liaison to the town board. I believe it's Christine Scalara, and I will ask her for that.
Yeah, okay, that's great.
All right. We have a public hearing to amend Article 7 dredging and docks, bulkhead channels. Section 47 entitles permits required application, procedure, issuance, inspections of the rules and regulations of the management of the products of the waters of the town of Southampton.
I'd like to motion to adjourn that.
Unless there is there anybody that, all right, so I'd like to open it.
Want to open it?
Yeah, I'd like to open it.
Listen, and then adjourn it.
I need a
Because
second
I'm
on
not
it.
ready for it.
You need
Second.
a second on the open?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
If I may join you. Aram Tertunian, First Coastal, West Hampton Beach, New York. Thank you for hearing me. I will be brief. I've done what I said I was going to do, which is I reached out to a variety of consultants and asked for some feedback. We haven't been able to have the conference call that we want, but I did get some feedback, and what I did, just in preparation for today's hearing, is I did an analysis of one of our existing permit programs, and the purpose of this analysis is be careful of unintended consequences. So I understand the board's desire to create an efficient permit process for important structures, and I vow to work with you to do that. So what I'm handing to you now, is just an analysis of what it takes to do a dune project.
Here we go.
Oops. What I wanted to do is point out through this analysis what it takes presently to do a dune restoration in the town of Southampton, and how there's an unintended cost and time consequence as a result of having multiple layers of jurisdiction within the town. So this document is it's 2 pages front and back, and then there's a enlarged table on the second page, which is just an enlargement of the same table that's on the back because I can't read anything less than 12-point type. Anyway, my point here is that dune restorations are important to everyone in the town. They're important for coastal flood and erosion protection. They're important for habitat. They're important for open space. Thank you. And so it's clearly something that the town wants to encourage. It's something that's in both in the trustees' rules and regs as well as in the town rules and regs. But what's happened now is that there is a procedure in place within the town where in order to undertake a dune restoration, we actually have to get 3 separate approvals from the town of Southampton. And each one of these approvals has a slightly different process, and each one of these approvals has a different fee system, and each one of these approvals, and this is important, lasts 1 year. All right. Now, we have to do a parallel process when we work with the New York State DEC. But when we work with the DEC, what happens is we get a 5-year permit that's renewable for 5 years, and we pay a $200 fee to get that permit and a $200 fee to renew that permit. But if you look at this table, what happens in the town of Southampton, we have to pay an initial fee of $2,500 because we've got a building permit fee, we've got a conservation board fee, and we've got a trustee fee, which, by the way, thank you, is the lowest of the 3. But it's still $2,500 to get that permit. And these permits take about 3 to 6 months to get because we've got to go back and forth a few times. If there's a change in one, it's got to be reflected in all 3. The result is that we have a permit that's good for 1 year that costs $2,500 in application fees alone, and we have a process whereby from April 1 of every year until August 31st of every year, we can't even do dune restorations on the beach. So we lose all that time, and we have a situation where most of the storms occur in December, January, February, March. This year we had 4 storms in a 28-day period in March. So unless we have active permits for everyone who might be damaged, their dune might be damaged by a storm, we simply are unable to submit applications in time, have them reviewed and processed, get a permit and execute the work, which I believe we all agree dunes are a good thing. The reason I'm giving this analysis is nobody intended this to happen. It just happened. And that's what we have right now. So now you're contemplating another permit amendment to your permit process. And this is a cautionary tale. It's a tale I'd love you to correct. I believe that if you went to multi-year permits for dune restorations, this would be a huge benefit. And it's not just this board, it would have to be conservation and the building department as well. But my point in this analysis is merely to say nobody consciously set out to make it more difficult to do dune restorations, but that is in fact the result. So now as we move forward to look at what to do about bulkheads and docks and what have you, let's be very careful we don't do this again. And if we can correct this, that would be wonderful as well. So without repeating myself, I'd say thank you.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Thank you for...
How does the DEC handle multi-year permits if you get in an extreme storm event like Sandy, where the dune basically you could lose up to 200 or 300 feet of dune, and it pushes the property back, substantially landward.
Right.
And then the original permit was for 300 feet, which is now the easement, and it's now,
Yep, great question. Here's the way they deal with it. First of all, in the initial permit, there's a special condition that requires us to file a yearly report in May on the condition of that dune. So if we're given a 5-year permit with a 5-year extension, every year in May, we have to file a report. The report is a photograph of the site and a write-up of anything that's happened. Not just one, but a couple of photographs. It's like 2 or 3 pages.
They require a survey?
No survey. So that's number one is
So do you
they
use the old survey and you just overlay what's the current situation?
We don't go survey to survey. We take photographs of the site just to show them this is what it looked like when we finished, because we have a completion photo, and this is what it looks like on May of any given year. Now, when there's a storm, what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll have a permit, for example, that allows us to build the dune back to its old configuration. In some cases, because the loss was so great, as you pointed out, and the cost of going all the way back is too extreme, as long as we're putting in the same number of cubic yards, in other words, let's say we have a permit for 1,000 cubic yards on that site. As long as we're putting in 1,000 cubic yards of sand, it doesn't have to go back to the original configuration, it just has to go back to the accepted
The
configuration
standards
with
of the permit that
1,000.
was issued, whether it's 1,000 or 10,000 cubic yards on that particular envelope of property.
Right.
Correct?
Correct. So we would restore it to the previous condition or to the amount of sand allocated in the permit. And that's the way we would deal with it.
There's one permit in here that I've got, it's taken a month.
And we appreciate that, and that this was an extreme
But your
event.
chart doesn't show that. Your chart says 3 to 6 months.
On average, we do 100 of these a year. On average, that's what it takes. And it's not just you. That's my point. If it was just this board, you guys meet every 2 weeks. You have work sessions every other week. We can get in front of you, we can do that, but it's not just you. We have to deal with 2 other agencies in the
Yeah,
town.
but our board is in charge of maintaining and preserving that easement at such time if a structure is put in a way that it, could possibly interfere with the traffic or up and down that easement, that's a problem for us. So the DEC doesn't have the easement, the town doesn't have the easement. So it's really important that what we do reflects on how we do it as far as the distance off of the dune and basically reestablishing the dunes and the walkways and everything else that goes along with the properties that are asked for.
And I think that those are, those are achievable. All those concerns are achievable in a more efficient, less time-consuming manner. But it's not just this board, as was pointed out. There are other entities have to sign on for that.
So when the no renewals for the town and environmental, every year you have to apply for new.
Gotta apply for a new permit.
It takes 3 to 6 months.
Sometimes it gets done in a month, if it's, it's
if
crunch
it's the
time.
same
but-
one.
Well, but everything is being hand-delivered, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and what we're trying to do
Keep you
is...
skinny.
What's that?
Keep you skinny from running.
Yes, it does. Not skinny enough now. Anyway, my point here again is to say, please, let's be very deliberate in how this board moves forward with any additional regulatory processes so that we don't end up in a situation
Now, let me ask you a question.
like we're doing here.
If you were dreaming, and your best dream you could have on permits, how would you do it as a consultant? Don't go your favorite, go some of our favorite too.
Well, you told me to dream.
Okay, go ahead.
One-stop shopping.
Okay.
This board has jurisdiction over, the docks and the bulkheads and other structures leading to the waters of the bay. If I'd rather come here and get one permit and be done, as opposed to come here, file also with the town, and then maybe the checklist is a little bit different over here in the building department or the conservation department. And so now I've got your stuff, which may be very reasonable, and I've got all of their stuff, and they don't necessarily line up. The checklists aren't the same. That's really hard for us.
So we should match ours with theirs.
Well, there should be one.
We should not have this. We should just
Should just
have an efficient version of ours.
Exactly.
Call it a day.
Yeah, because we're in charge
Share
of
the
the
cost.
easement again, and that's the economic engine of the town. So I think we have the most important duty and the most, maintaining and preserving that for the public.
So, that's, from my perspective, going to one agency, understanding what they want. If that incorporates the other issues from the other portions of the town, great, let's do that. But to have to get 3 separate approvals for something, or if I'm doing a dock, now I've got to come to the trustees, and I've got to go to the building department, and I've got to satisfy both of them, that's a lot harder. That's a lot harder.
Yeah.
Well, I know we have the ability to renew for 4 more times, which is basically a 5-year permit, which would mirror what the DEC.
Ours is 4. We give you 1 and then we let you go
4 more.
I thought it was 2.
No, it's 4. We
4.
changed it.
It's 4.
We changed it to
For
4.
5 years.
We did have a public hearing on that.
Yes. All right.
I think, we've been working hard on,
Well, that's great. I'm sorry I wasn't aware of that, but that's great. I mean, because especially on stuff like this, we're doing the right thing, so it should be easier
Well,
than
with the
harder.
renewals, I think, looking at it as far as, we have the ability to waive certain parts of the application, whether it's, survey and stuff like that. So if we have a survey, a bench line survey of the property, and you're only going to put 1,000 cubic yards, even though it's barely eroded, it's within the parameters of the original survey. So, I mean, it would be something for James to look at and give his, expertise too, because he is the environmental analyst, and that would be right in his wheelhouse as far as doing that stuff.
Good.
Any comment, James? All right.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for your
And,
time. Appreciate it.
I did have I did have a few phone calls into the consultants, being that they will be directly affected with this, change or possible change. I asked them to either submit written comment or to come in to speak at the hearing. So I think we will adjourn it for a month and give a little bit more time for everybody.
Okay, so that will be May 21st at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Are we
This
good with
is,
that, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
You need a second, Ed?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is no policy change that this board should rush into.
No.
There's a lot of moving parts here, and
Well, we look
definitely
forward to participating in that process.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, let's get into the application part. Trustee Resolution 2018-85, modification of permit number BLK 00124, 32 Westway, Wash LLC, 32 Westway Drive, Southampton. We went through this in the work session, and everybody agreed to move it forward, so.
Second it.
Everybody okay with it? Then I like,
Who seconded for you?
okay. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I've got trustee resolution 2018-86, East Point Association. This is remove approximately 282 feet of deteriorated wood capping on an existing vinyl bulkhead and replace it with approved material.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye. Trustee Resolution 2018-87, recall and amend Trustee Resolution Number 2018-74, Southampton RE Partners LLC, 95 Down East Lane, Southampton, New York. Body of water is Hetty Creek. Need a second for that.
Second on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do I have to do this? Karen, do I have to do it again?
The trustee resolution 2018-88.
Page 5.
2018-88, application 809 Meadow Lane, 809 Meadow Lane, Southampton, New York. Body of water, Shinnecock Bay.
Second on that. All in favor?
Aye.
I got a first renewal for Joseph Tuna, 11 Morris Cove Lane, Sag Harbor, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 0903-4-3-6, body of water, Legionary Creek.
Who's second? All in favor?
Aye.
First, the next 7, I didn't give the paperwork to Lisa in time.
Yep.
So she put the wrong description.
They all have the
All of
same
them?
amendment. It's just adding,
So we're just gonna amend all of them to add the no treated lumber and the,
Untreated lumber?
yeah.
Okay.
And the
steak.
stakes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
she has the
How can we
proper
do that?
updated.
I have these.
What I'd like you to do is just read the resolution number and then just read what the amendment's going to be. There could be a motion to amend those resolution numbers.
So we can do it in a series,
We could do it in a series,
Okay.
sure.
Read all
If it's the
7 of them.
same, right.
So these are in order of the resolutions. And they're gonna come right off the application cover sheet. There's the no treated lumber and stuff like that. So you'll read each one of these is in order
Okay.
with the applications.
First application is David Himoto, 1085 Flying Point Road, Watermill, New York. Suffolk County Tax Map 900-178-2-12.3. Perform restoration by placing approximately 1,500 cubic yards of beach-compatible sand, plant grass 12 on center, install 240 feet of fencing, no treating materials to be used, full dune restoration, stairway repair will be performed after September 1st, 2018, and before March 31st, 2019.
Is the amendment in here?
Are you sure I didn't incorporate the amendment? Because that's what it says in the resolution. I have that in the resolution. Stakes will be placed on the beach and no treated materials.
Okay, then maybe I read it wrong then. What about the next one?
It could have been me, because it says install 200 feet of sand fencing, 1 or 2 rows. Stakes will be placed on the beach where fencing will be located. Repair stairway in kind in place as necessary.
Yep, no treated
in there?
materials will be used, and the full dune restoration performed after September 1st and before March 31st.
Okay, then I might have read it wrong then. Can we just go through one more? And
Yeah,
just-
absolutely.
Sure.
Okay,
All right, can I get a second on the first one?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
The next one is HFP-FP LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map 900178-2-12.2, 1100 Flying Point Road, Watermill, New York. This is perform a dune restoration too. Plant beach grass 12 on center, install 225 foot of sand fencing, 1 or 2 rows, install temporary stairs, install permanent 41 by 4, 160 foot square stairway in place. After full dune restoration project has been completed, Southampton Town trustees will be notified 7 days to commencement of work. No treated materials will be used. Stakes will be placed on a beach where fencing is located.
That one needs.
Okay, so that, you have to make a motion to amend to include that language? No
Make a
treated
motion to
lumber.
amend.
I'll second that. And that's trustee resolution 2018-91, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
Make a motion to amend the no treated lumber. Read that last part, Bruce, so it's clear.
I make a motion to amend. No treated lumbers will be used. Stakes will be placed on a beach where fencing is located.
Okay, so you need a second on that?
Second on that, all in favor? Aye.
Okay, now you need a motion on the underlying resolution as amended.
I'll make the motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next one we have is 561 Daniels Lane LLC, located on 1131 Flying Point Road, Watermill, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-178-2-14. Perform dune restoration, approximately 3,500 cubic clean compatible sand, beach grass 12 on center. Dune restoration will be performed after September 1st, 2018, before March 31st, 2019. Install 98 feet of fencing, 1 or 2 rows, install 15 by 4 temporary stairs in the spring, will be removed by March 1st, 2018. If full dune restoration will not been performed, temporary stairs will be reinstalled before March 31st, 2019, and removed before November 1st, 2019. Permanent 43 by 4 stairway, 17 by 10 deck, 58 by 3 walkway will be installed in kind in place after full dune restoration project's been completed. Southampton Town trustees will be notified 7 days prior to commencement. No treated materials will be used. Stakes will be placed on the beach where fencing is located.
Okay, so that's the amendment there. No treated lumber will be used and no stakes.
And that's trustee resolution 2018-92.
Okay, so you need a motion to amend.
Motion to amend.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now a motion on the underlying resolution.
Motion on the underlying resolution.
Second.
As amended.
As amended, I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did he read just the amendment, or does he read the entire?
He doesn't need to read the entire resolution. No, just, you can
All right.
read the amendment.
Motion to amend. No treated lumber will be used. Stakes will be placed on a beach where fencing is located. This is application of Sarah and Isaac Sandbar, 1141 Flying Point Road, Watermill, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-178-2-15. It's Trustee Resolution 2018-93.
All right.
Motion to amend.
Motion to amend. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Underlying reso?
Make the motion.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
All right, I got another one for Carolyn P. Hirsch, 1151 Flying Point Road, Trustee Resolution 2018-94. I need a motion to amend. No treated materials will be used. Stakes will be placed on a beach where fencing will be located.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Underlying resolution, Bruce?
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
I have another one for Carolyn P. Hirsch, 1175 Flying Point Road, Watermill, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-178-2-19. Make a motion to amend, no treated...
This one's okay, Bruce. No treated materials will be used and stakes will be placed.
Okay, I'll make the motion. We
Second. Second. All in favor? Aye.
James, right? That one's all right? Okay.
And I believe this next one is as well.
I have one more for dune restoration, trustee resolution 2018-96. This is perform a dune restoration, planting grass on center, install 191 foot of sand, fencing, 1 or 2 rows. Stakes will be placed on a beach where fencing is located.
Has to add no treated material.
And no treated material will be used.
Okay, motion to amend, Bruce, you need a
Motion
second?
to amend.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Underlying resolution, Bruce?
Make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sorry about the confusion.
No problem. It's all right.
Can I go?
What?
Yes.
Trustees Resolution 2018-97. This is for the modification of permit number BLK 00037, Mr. Berry 3 LLC, located 18 Duck Point Road, Remsenburg, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-381-361, body of water, Mauritius Bay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Trustee Resolution 2018-83, we adjourned it to the May meeting,
Gonna
correct?
table that, Ed? Motion to table?
Table it.
Second.
521, everybody?
Yep.
Bruce, you were the second?
Yes.
Thank you.
Trustee Resolution 2018-98 authorizes the president to sign a lease agreement with Shinnecock Station, Inc. for the use of vacant parcel of land in Shinnecock Road owned by the trustees. Does anybody have any comments on this before?
I don't know, you think maybe we should have a public hearing on this?
No, I think we did it last year, and we have an agreement that it stipulates exactly what has to be done and maintained on
There's
it.
no access to the water right there.
There is access, but there's no water there to tie a boat up.
Well, maybe one of the neighbors might want to come vent or something. Maybe wants to put a popsicle stand
I
there.
think you guys are making fun of the
No,
situation.
no,
I think
but
we're trying to be careful.
Bruce, I already went through the neighborhood
Trying
last
to be
year.
careful.
I did all our homework. We got the property back in 1950. It's been ours. We replaced the bulkhead there, and all the neighbors were okay with it last year.
I have no problem with it.
All right, so
Okay.
need a second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Trustee, Bruce, this is yours.
Authorize the president to sign a lease agreement with Global Boarding LLC for the use of Pine Neck Avenue dock. I'd like to make the motion.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2018-100, warrant number 8 of 2018, for the sum of $3,166.16.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would you like me to read the check register into the
Yes,
record?
please.
Okay. Bobcat of Long Island, $722.81 to repair the glass door. Fisher Scientific Company was for the YSL meter, $1,188.84. Southampton Press for legal advertising,
That's coming on there next.
$65.61.
Where is it? Where is it? Right here.
Town of Southampton,
No,
$521
Next one.
and 83 cents. That was for a reimbursement. Verizon
Hold on.
Wireless is a cell phone, $495.75. WB Mason for office
Some tone
supplies,
right
$171.32, equaling $3,166.
Thank you, Lisa.
16 cents.
Thank you, Lisa. Trustee Resolution
You didn't
2018.
vote, Ed.
Oh, sorry.
I'll make the motion.
No,
Second.
you already have a second, you just
All
need
right,
to call.
second,
the vote.
whatever.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Trustee Resolution 2018-101, recall and amend 2018 TRUS 80. I recommend its approval. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee, Resolution 2018-102 authorizes spending for Little Neck Road. I need a second on that.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee, Resolution 2018-101 authorizes the purchase of dredging services for Chesterfield Associate, Inc., using the Suffolk County contract. I need a second on that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee, Resolution 2018-104 authorizes the purchase service of night shift for Lake Agawam weeding and maintenance for the rain garden for 2018. I need a second on that.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Trustee, Resolution 2018-105, authorizing an expenditure of life storage. I need a second on that.
This is for Uncle Bob's. This is for an entire year's rent
All
on
right.
the storage unit.
Did we ever look into about moving it to Hampton Bays for the town clerk Sunday?
We're looking into having a grant writer come and help us. In fact, I've contacted her. I'm waiting for her to give me a date to come meet with the trustee's office to possibly get a grant from New York State to start archiving, and they'll help us with that. Yeah.
I believe that storage unit is just about full.
It is full. I think most of it can be disposed of, Bill.
Yeah.
They could help us with that.
I think we would have to go
Yeah.
through it and.
Very carefully.
Very carefully,
Yeah.
and make sure that there's no important documents, so I recommend it. It's approval. I need a second.
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 In favor?
Aye.
Does anybody else have anything to bring up to the board before we get?
Now, what we just voted on with Chesterfield, that's for the year? That's why we're doing that?
Yes, we're hiring him
Okay.
through the county bid, and it's not to exceed $15,000. Correct?
Yes.
I do have one update. The Little Neck Pier project that we had undertaken at Chesterfield Associates, the dock is finished, the ramp is in, and it's completely ready for boats to be tied up at. The college has been by it several times with their boats, and the water depth is adequate for them to navigate in and out of there, so it's all good.
That's good.
So we're finished with that.
That's great.
And I would also tell the board that my continued meetings over the tax line is, progressing very, very nicely. I think that there's a good possibility we could be successful with that. I think that would be a big help for us getting our finances straightened out, especially these, projects we're working on and MECOX lawsuits. I think that over the course of time, I think you're going to see some very positive things come out of this. I will keep you all posted, but we are making progress on that endeavor, okay?
Thanks, Scott.
At the Little Neck project, the Rayner Group is going to give us one final report, looking at the elevation of the parking lot and any runoff that has occurred there, and I believe there's a little bit of washout, so maybe in the future we would have to purchase some material, either clamshells or something to put on the parking lot to make it less susceptible to washout. So I'm just giving everybody an update on that, too.
Thank you.
Ed, could you just talk a little bit about Dr. Souza and what he's doing tomorrow, or how he's starting?
Well, he was supposed to come into the meeting today and just introduce himself, which I guess he's out here a day earlier than his team that's coming tomorrow. He's going around Mill Pond doing a site visit of the area.
Email it if you want to refer to it.
Okay. Yeah, I know pretty much, yeah. And we've given him permission to go in there, his crew to go in there tomorrow with a John boat and a four-cycle outboard engine to be able to do shoreline surveys and sampling all around the pond. Richie Franks, the Bay Constable, is going to go with them to oversee this and to guide him around the area. They're looking to do a baseline survey and a baseline, testing of the water for, to be able to come up with a proposal for a larger project, which will hopefully go on. The money that it's going to be paid for by was left over from the FOSLOC, so there's a little bit of money that the original project that we had done with the town and the other company. So that's where they're tapping the money right now. So hopefully they'll come up with some good results and have some good recommendations.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything else? Oh, Mr. Junior.
If I may be heard. Aram Tertunian, First Coastal West Hampton. Two quick issues. Number one, 17 Bishop LLC. I didn't see it on the agenda. I know that the hearing was closed and the public comments were received. I just want to know what the next step is going to be with that.
James, do we have a fully completed application before us? Because I know that was, we had looked at it at the last public hearing, and there was no returns on it. The elevation, the material, the yardage of material was in question, whether it was a 20 or 200, and also there was a dock. There was a dock proposed on the original application. So I don't know if it's all been put together for the final application.
We did receive plans from First Coastal. You all should have received it via email. We also received paperwork from Katerina.
Okay.
Yes. And you all should definitely take a look at that
it.
as well.
I know there was some, what was the last day? Was Thursday or
The
Friday?
19th, Friday.
The 19th. Information that the Mr. Barakis' attorney had supplied the office. I don't know if everybody's gotten a chance to look at it or not. So I think we're probably still in the process of reviewing the information that was given to us.
Okay, well, obviously my client is anxious to move this forward. The hearing's been held, the information's in, and I'd like to get this on whatever schedule it is. If it's the next work session, so be it, and get it advanced forward for a determination.
Yeah, I think we just have to review the material that was given to us on Friday.
Just point out that the opposition neglected to copy us on that material, despite the fact that we always copied them. Second issue, very quickly, is just... I retrieved a copy on my own.
Okay, now I'm just making sure that everybody has all the information, because I want to make sure we make a good decision.
I just wonder, Mr. Warner, if you could give me an update on the North Sea Harbor Inlet dredging. Have you heard anything subsequent?
I have a phone call into Scott Hillary today, and he has not gotten back to me yet, and George Hammereth. I have a whole bunch of dredging phone calls today, so no, as of 12 o'clock when I came up here, no, I had not gotten any callbacks, but as soon as I hear, I will have James put everybody in an email loop so that everybody's updated.
All right, that's obviously a critical issue for a number of different stakeholders, so we appreciate your efforts.
Well, just to let you know, the inlet is impassable at low tide.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's unnavigable.
It's
so.
unnavigable.
And that was after the last storm last week, and we're going to have another northeaster coming this week, so it'll probably be a little bit worse.
So the sandbar that's
Completely-
just outside the inlet is
The
completely...
sandbar that is not going to be dredged, according to the county, is the one that impedes the whole navigation thing. So that's why I needed to have a conversation with Scott to see if we can extend because, correct me if I'm wrong, James, didn't the Bay Constables do the survey out past that sandbar? Yeah. So they're aware of the whole entire shoaling issue that's at the mouth of that harbor.
Okay. Well, it's a critical issue, and
yes, it is.
And please let me know if the North Sea Beach Colony can be of assistance. And we're still awaiting the final information from the state comptroller on ECD, but I know that the ECD is interested as well.
Well, at least the material will be placed west of the inlet this year, so.
That's good news.
It's a start.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Executive session, too.
What's that?
Executive session.
No, we're, Mr. Lombardo.
No, I think, yeah, but I think we should do it anyway.
Oh, okay.
You wanna go?
Potential litigation, I think we're gonna.
I'll have James check
All
with
right.
Mark. You're gonna call Papa John, set up a meeting?
I'd like to close the hearing and go into executive session.
For the purposes of?
Discussing litigation.
Second.
Litigation. All in favor?
James, can you-
Aye. Thank you.
Please.